Now at 6 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, one person dead after a two-vehicle crash on North John Stockbauer. Two local figures in Victoria now running for District 30 in the race for state representative. And an employee shot and killed at the Prairie View A&M University campus. What the university has to say straight ahead.
We had another day of the rainy stuff, another half-inch of rain, but the good news is all of this, the heavy stuff, is clearing out, and by tomorrow afternoon I think you'll actually see the sun. We've got warmer weather coming up, and I'll have all the details coming up.
And one of the top running backs in the nation is from the Crossroads, but we have an update on his situation. That's coming up in sports.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Don Brubaker. Karina Garcia is off tonight. This afternoon, an 80-year-old man died in a crash. Victoria police were on the scene of the two-vehicle crash in the 5500 block of North John Stockbauer Drive. It happened just before 2 p.m. Police say a gray 2018 GMC was traveling northbound, while gray 2016 Jeep Grand Cherokee was traveling southbound. The GMC then drove into southbound traffic, causing a head-on collision with the Cherokee. The drivers of the two vehicles were taken to area hospitals with non-life-threatening injuries. However, 80-year-old Joseph Johnson, who was in the GMC, died from his injuries. District 30 State Representative Jeannie Morrison decided not to seek re-election. So far, two area leaders want that seat. 25 News Now reporter Adarius McCormick has information on a couple of familiar faces already in the race. Adarius?
That's right, Don. Victoria Mayor Jeff Bachnight and former Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Louderback throw their hats into the ring for Texas House District 30. The Texas Constitution requires Mayor Jeff Bachnight to formally resign as mayor of Victoria before running for state office, but he can remain in this role until another mayor is elected. He served as mayor since 2021 and was elected to city council back in 2013, which means he's no stranger to politics. After leading many successes in Victoria, Bachnight plans to secure the state's southern border, preserve sovereignty, and work for economic freedom for every Texan. Mayor Bachnight had this to say: "I'm humbled by the outpouring of support and encouragement I've received from our community to run for the Texas House, and I'm all in." Former Jackson County Sheriff A.J. Louderback is all in as well. Louderback has 40 years of experience in law enforcement and was elected Jackson County Sheriff 5 times. He does not fear a race since he ran for U.S. Congress District 27 in the primary last March against Congressman Michael Cloud. In this race, his biggest plan is to tackle border security head-on. Victoria's City Council will decide whether to hold a special mayoral election on February 3rd. This decision will come from their next meeting on November 21st. Don, back to you.
Adarius, thank you. A Lavaca County jail inmate faces a new charge after escaping last Friday from a work detail. 63-year-old Donald Keith Kirkman was recaptured Friday night and faces a felony charge of escape. Kirkman is held on bonds totaling $130,000 from 4 previous charges. He faces a drug charge and was in on a probation violation. He was also in custody accused of bail jumping, failure to identify, failure to appear, and for being a fugitive trying to give false information. The Jackson County Sheriff's Office is looking for information on the suspect you are about to see. This man is a person of interest in a theft on October 31st at the Cobra Corner in Vanderbilt. The suspect may be driving an older model Chevy pickup. If you can help, call investigators at the Jackson County Sheriff's Office, 361-782-3541. A former Wharton ISD teacher's aide faces up to 2 years in prison if convicted. The El Campo Leader News reports a 4-count injury to a child indictment was handed down against 67-year-old Donna K. Plunkett. She's accused of striking 2 students in the face and head in a life skills class on the Civils Elementary School campus on October 21st, 2022. Plunkett was dismissed by the Wharton ISD deputy following an investigation that included a review of surveillance footage. Now let's take a first look at your forecast. Here's First Warn Storm Team Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac spent the whole weekend counting how many raindrops we had. Are you still counting, Mac?
Yeah, I'm up to 1,002. But the good news is it's all going to be going away. Now tonight we're going to be foggy, dreary, and damp. But by tomorrow, dry air comes in. I believe you'll see the sun by tomorrow afternoon. Rest of the week looking pretty good. We'll have all that coming up in just a moment. Don, back to you.
Mac, thank you. An employee at Prairie View A&M University was shot and killed in an isolated incident on campus today. Authorities at the university received reports about the shooting shortly after 9:30 this morning. The victim, a current employee at the university, was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect, a former employee at the university, was detained and taken into custody. No students were involved in the shooting. Classes were canceled, and the university is offering assistance for those who need it. Police have identified a suspect who is wanted in connection to the Pearland flea market shooting that left one child dead and 4 other people hurt. KPRC reports 19-year-old David Negrete is wanted on charges of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. The victims were shot Sunday night following what they call a disturbance at a flea market in Pearland. Authorities say the shooting was the result of issues between 2 people at the location and was not random. Police did not release the condition of the other 4 victims.
Our investigators are interviewing people that were involved, victims that were involved, to ascertain exactly what happened. All right, but it's at this time there's no one in custody for this shooting.
Governor Greg Abbott announced a $15,000 reward for information leading to the arrest and capture of the suspects involved in the shooting. Authorities encourage anyone with information to contact authorities at 281-997-5828. A man was fatally shot in a church parking lot Sunday. A churchgoer said the man entered the building and stated, quote, "Today is the day," unquote. He referenced the pastor and noted his mother was involved in the church. Deputies responded to the scene after receiving reports, but the suspect took off. An hour later, the man returned and reportedly got out of his vehicle while running toward the churchgoers with a vape in his hand. One person fired shots at the suspect, and he was pronounced dead at the scene.
We will work with the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences to gain additional information and obviously make a positive identification.
There were 50 to 70 church members inside during the shooting. No one else was hurt. Authorities say they're still investigating to make a positive identification and determine if the man had any weapons with him. Police in Austin are mourning the loss of 2 officers who died Saturday. Officer Jorge Pastor was gunned down while responding to a call at a home. Another officer who was not identified was hurt in the ambush. Community members and city leaders had a candlelight vigil Sunday night. Supporters set up a table for people to view photos and leave messages for his family. A second officer died Saturday in a separate, unrelated incident in Austin. No cause of death was given in that incident. Questions still remain today on why a plane ran off the runway and went through a fence at a small Texas airport north of Dallas. New cell phone video from a young man riding his bike nearby shows the scary moments when the plane broke through the fence, missing him by inches. That plane eventually crashed into a car driving down the street. The young man says he was watching planes and just happened to be there.
I just saw this plane. I was expecting it to slow down, but it just kept getting closer and it wasn't slowing down. All I was thinking was just, I need to run away from this. And I just immediately stopped filming and I just started running backwards towards the golf course.
Carson says the plane tried to land before the hard landing and crash. At least 1 person was hurt and taken to the hospital. This week is Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week. From 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. this week, you can drop off non-perishable food items at Victoria Christian Assistance Ministries, 108 North Liberty. Here's your viewer poll this evening. Scan that QR code to vote now. The question is, Do you plan to take part in events for Hunger and Homelessness Awareness Week? Yes or no? Let's look at those numbers. 24% of the voters say yes. 76% of the voters say no. We thank you for voting. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we'll have an update on 25 News Now after Monday Night Football. Welcome Home has taken on a whole new meaning for a Victoria veteran and his family with the presentation of a fully furnished new home. The mission of the Helping a Hero organization is to help veterans get a brand new, fully furnished home. U.S. Army veteran Bradley Grutner, who suffered major injuries in Iraq, was nominated by a fellow Army veteran and friend. Many local and statewide organizations came together to build this new home.
I'm overwhelmed with happiness and joy and thankfulness that this is all for me.
Grutner's family includes his wife, Angie, along with 2 daughters. Bradley has committed his life to helping veterans heal through various hunting trips. Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell so when you're on YouTube, you can see Crossroads Today. And stay with us. The government shutdown bill does not include additional aid for Israel or Ukraine. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6. Also ahead, a new report shows ERCOT could fall short this coming winter season.
For more than a decade, meteorologist Trey Mining has served as your trusted face at 25 News Now First Warn Storm Team. But now, he faces a different kind of storm.
So I saw a neurologist here in town, and he says, I think it's Parkinson's possibly, but I'm not sure.
Join anchor Carolina Estrain as she presents Trey's Story, a 25 News Now Extra, this Thursday night at 10. Sometimes, the bravest forecasts aren't about the weather.
House lawmakers are working against the clock to avoid a government shutdown before Friday night's funding deadline. New House Speaker Mike Johnson revealed his unconventional 2-tiered funding plan over the weekend.
Republican House Speaker Mike Johnson's plan to temporarily fund the government is already facing opposition from members of his own party.
The one thing we know almost to a certainty is that the GOP side of the aisle contains a number of people who are extremists and who have shown absolutely no indication that they want to get things done.
The first part of the bill, in a 2-tier plan, extends funding until January 19th for items including military construction, veterans affairs, transportation, housing, and the energy department. The second part extends funding until February 2nd for the rest of the government.
We need more time so we could pass those and then have until February to negotiate with the Senate to get this done.
Missing from the plan, additional aid for Israel or Ukraine, and the deep spending cuts hardline conservatives are looking for. With a slim majority in the House, Johnson will likely need Democratic support to get the bill passed.
Johnson is going to do what's right, buy time, and then come together with the Dems and work in a bipartisan fashion, which is what the American people want.
Some lawmakers are frustrated with the piecemeal approach.
It just means we're postponing the agony.
But with the clock ticking and several global crises ongoing, the pressure is on Congress to act.
I mean, there's no choice here. I mean, the world is on fire from where I sit. It is too, urgent. We can't sit back and do nothing.
A new report raises concerns over Texas grid conditions this winter. KVUE reports the North American Electric Reliability Corporation said due to a lack of natural gas infrastructure, ERCOT could fall short of electricity during extreme cold weather. The report shows ERCOT is vulnerable to generators going offline under extreme cold conditions. ERCOT is looking to increase its power capacity, reducing the probability of entering into an energy emergency below 10%. AAA says to expect the busiest Thanksgiving in several years. AAA says a total of nearly 55.4 million people will travel between the Wednesday before Thanksgiving and the Sunday after the holiday. AAA estimates 49 million Americans will drive to their destination. Airlines are expecting a record-setting number of passengers over a nearly 2-week period. Fort Worth-based American Airlines expects to fly 7.8 million passengers on more than 70,000 flights.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hopefully it's not tonight that you're flying because it's kind of soupy out there. One more day today of having additional rainfall. We're at 61 degrees. I mean, the thermometer has been stuck there for about 4 days. 63 was our high, 59 the overnight low, so not much of a difference. But by tomorrow, you're going to see a little bit of sun. The drying air is slowly coming in. Today we had 56 hundredths. That's good. That brought our total for the month of November up to 2.85, and our year is now only 2 inches below normal. We'll be talking about the sun coming in, and we'll take a look at the entire week coming up in a moment. Well, I don't know about you, but I sat on the couch most of the weekend and watched the rain out the window. It was very interesting. But the good news is that we got some significant rainfall, and we sure can use it at this time of year. Now, the heavy rain has now beginning to pull away from us. You can see it right about there. This is where there's actually an area of low pressure sort of spinning around out here. That's why we were getting that northerly wind and that rain and the cloud cover. All of this that you see out in West Texas looks very impressive, but it's actually up in the clouds and it's not really falling, but that will also get blown away by some dry air coming in behind it. Here's a future tracker. This is what we expect to happen in the next 72 hours. So we start on your Monday. There you are. We go forward and you can see how the rain thins out and how the low takes the heaviest stuff out across the Gulf. We go to Tuesday afternoon and you can see how, whoa, we clear it out very nicely. In fact, by the time we get to Wednesday, we got some terrific weather. Now, the interesting part is that this circulates this way, right? So it's giving us the north wind. So we're going to clear up. It's going to stay on the cool side of things, but we are going to get drier air and we are going to see the sun. Not to worry, it's not that far away. Taking a look at the big picture, here's our low. That one is going to go across the Gulf and bring rain to Florida. High pressure over here, giving them a break. The plains are going to be clearing out nicely for a few days. And then we have to watch out here. This is a very interesting storm. Normally, as I've shown you, the westerly winds across North America take everything basically in that direction. But there's going to be a dip here, a very powerful storm off the west coast, and it's going to be there for about 4 or 5 days. So we're sitting, okay, which way are you going? Is it going to go in or south or dissipate out there? Let's just say that which way it goes is going to make a big difference on what the forecast is going to be right about now. Okay, about 7 days from now, the tail end of that should be affecting us. But that is the next thing that we've got to watch, and it's a very interesting storm. I don't know how many of you have ever been to Reykjavik, Iceland. I've never been there. I have a friend who was in the Air Force there. Reykjavik has had, in the last week, over 3,000 earthquakes. There is a volcanic explosion almost imminent there, and it's not coming out of where a volcano exists. So it's basically a crack in the ground where the magma is less than half a mile down. So it's going to be very interesting over the next week to see what happens in Iceland. They may have a new mountain. The people that are in that little town have already been evacuated to the other side of the island. So it's just one of the things going on in our world. For tonight, we're only down to 58 degrees, not much of a change in the temperature, but tomorrow we'll get up to almost 70 degrees. By afternoon, maybe even as soon as noontime, you'll see breaks in the clouds, but overnight, kind of soupy and foggy by the morning. We are looking, however, for those of you going, I don't know that I would go fishing. It's too sloppy out there, and the winds are still out of the north, fairly gusty, so we have a small craft advisory. For tomorrow in Port Lavaca, 59 in the morning, 71 in the afternoon. In Cuero, you've got a 57 in the morning and a 71 with sunshine in the afternoon. So as we go to Tuesday, a little bit of clouds, but breaking up. Then lots of sun on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I had to put in that West Coast storm there for next Monday, but that's not for 7 days. Clearing and milder is your forecast. We're looking at your 7-day forecast and reminding everybody we do have a QR code. We'd love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Here's Don.
Thank you, Max. Sports Director Gino Perez is here getting ready for round 2 of the high school football playoffs.
Yep, the area round, and we have a preview of the game of the week, which will be played in our own backyard. That's coming up after the break. At a crossroads over the weekend, a former Hallettsville running back underwent surgery. Jonathan Brooks has rushed his way into the conversation as one of the best backs in the nation, but tragically his season came to an end against the TC Horned Frogs over the weekend. Brooks was tackled on a fourth quarter run before eventually crawling off the field and eventually getting the diagnosis of a torn ACL. Brooks was the #1 ranked running back in the draft by Mel Kiper. What a blow for the Longhorns and a small town north of Victoria, which recently retired the formerly named Mr. Texas High School football player's number. For parents that have athletes wanting to compete at the next level, show them this clip. This is the definition of a hustle play. Quinn Ewers throws an interception, but former Cuero quarterback Jordan Whittington misses the tackle there trying to get the guy, but he rushes back, does not quit, knocks the ball out of his arm, and the Longhorns recover it. And this was a big time play because the score was only 7-6 at the time. The Longhorns would go on to win 29-26 and are still ranked #7 in the nation. Great job, Whittington. Well, it is the second week of Texas high school football, and there are another week of playoffs that are going to be played here in Victoria. The Edna Cowboys are getting back in the rhythm after losing to Goliad for what would have been the district title. Edna is on a 3-game win streak after beating Mathis, Aransas Pass, and Rio Hondo. In each of those games, Edna has scored at least 49 points in those 3 contests. It'll be a Cowboys and Indians matchup on Thursday night when the Jourdanton Indians and Edna Cowboys come to town. The 8-2 Cowboys hope to pull out the upset against the undefeated Indians. Kickoff is at 7 at Memorial Stadium. Another big game going on this week is between the Industrial Cobras and the Randolph Hawks. Industrial is also on a 3-game win streak, scoring at least 45 points in their last 3 games as well. This year, the Cobras have played 6 teams that made it to the postseason. Head coach Craig Nairn said this team does not quit, and his quarterback Ashton Garza reflects on playing in the cold and wet weather.
We're playing some pretty good football. You know, I think our best is still ahead of us. You know, there's some things we can do probably a little bit better, but we're definitely hitting our stride. Since the Edna game, we kind of been able to really get our run game going, and that's helped a bunch.
Over the years, we've adjusted to this weather, and I feel like it doesn't really matter to us. Seems how we've played a bunch of rounds in this weather. Last year, we played round 1 in rain. We played round 2 in rain and cold. So, I mean, it's like a chip on the shoulder. It's nothing. Just grinding. We just got to keep working and stay hungry for that next round of the playoffs.
The Roe Hawks are favorites in this one with a record of 10-1. These two battle it out on Friday night at 7 o'clock in LaGrange. If Industrial and Edna both win, they will meet up in the regional round of playoffs. Well, that's your sports. Don, back to you.
All right, Gino, thank you. We're back in a moment. A lighting event in Tokyo uses 380,000 light bulbs completely powered by a very unusual source. Finally tonight, a light display featuring 380,000 bulbs is taking place in Japan. All of the lights are entirely powered by used cooking oil. Organizers have converted used cooking oil gathered from nearby restaurants and individual homes into fuel to power the generator that lights up the bulbs. The event has been fully self-powered this way for more than 10 years. And when they put in the dance floor near there, they call it the Crisco Disco.
Yeah.
But I just...
and I'll bet it smells a lot like French fries, too.
I bet it does, and that's not too bad.
No, I did a story on a guy who converted his pickup truck to biodiesel from oil, and it smelled like French fries.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Grease is the word.
It did, that's right.
Tell us about rain tonight, maybe no?
Going to be a little sloppy there tonight, and we're probably going to pick up some fog, so if you're driving around tonight, do be careful. But by tomorrow morning, skies will be clearing, and by tomorrow afternoon, you'll see a little bit of sun. Looking good for Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so after that.
All right, thank you, Mac. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight for 25 News Now after Monday Night Football.